So the second dish that we're doing tonight is a variation. It's kind of my version of rice congee. You know, years ago when we started one of our restaurants, Brasserie Flip, we brought risotto onto the menu, and that was before everybody understood the creamy, sort of soft textured risottos that are, a favourite of restaurant menus now. And we really battled to get people to understand what a creamy risotto was like. So this dish, the first part I'll get on here is the congee, or the rice part of this dish. Chicken stock, it's a beautiful dish to eat. It's remarkably simple to make, and whereas with risotto you're trying to get that creaminess all the time and being very careful about how your stock is absorbed by your rice. With congee, you just let it go. You want it to turn to porridge, you want it to be really soft and really smooth almost. I keep mine different in that I don't take it to that full porridge stage. I still like to keep a little texture of the rice. And you'll see it's a lot of stock for not very much rice, right? Very small amount. And I'm just using ordinary just plain on. There's nothing flash about this rice. It's not carnaroli or anything. It's just a nice short grain rice. Oh, what a guy! I just asked for sparkling water. He knows what a chef means when they say, "Can I have a sparkling water, please?" Oh, he's a chef. Sparkling water. He doesn't really mean sparkling water. He means vodka and tonic. So now that the rice isn't there, we will get this going. The idea here is to absolutely explode the rice. You want to overcook the life out of this. You want it to get it down till it's almost, the Chinese take it to a smooth porridge and they make it for breakfast because it's the best restorative there is after a hangover. Not that I made it. So you put it on there, put the lid on, 2 hours, walk away, leave it. It's very, very, very simple to make. Right, the other thing that we're going to put with this is we're going to make a little 5-spice Asian pork belly. Now, I never thought I had actually a palate for Asian food. I regarded myself as being very much a French-trained chef who loved Italian food. That was kind of my thing, and I felt that, really if I was going to cook Asian food, then I needed to go, at least have lived and worked in Asia for a large number of years, and I've discovered that I've got absolute love of Asian food. And what I love about it is not so much the heat and the spices in terms of that palate heat, but what I love is the aromas, the aromatics that you get from Asian food. And so just going to make our own little 5-spice powder here. So into that pan I've put Szechuan peppercorns, some star anise, we're going to add some fennel seeds, and a little bit of ground clove and some ground cinnamon. I mean, already this is going to taste pretty bloody good just from those ingredients that have gone in there now. Really lightly toasting this. After you've toasted those off, got those aromas, put them into a spice mill, and you end up with this beautiful dark brown powder that smells amazing. So this goes into mortar and pestle, a little bit of salt, some black peppercorns, the 5-spice, and a couple of cloves of garlic. You grind this up until it's dark and mysterious. What I really wanted to write there was until it's dark and looks like compost, but compost is never a great word to have in a recipe. Okay, beautiful, done. Very, very easy. This is Harmony pork belly, free range, beautiful. Also, get your butcher to do this, or use a craft knife, like a really sharp cook's knife, and you just want to score the skin. And the reason you want to do that is because you want to get the crackle on this going, but also it's going to make it easier to carve later. Turn it over, and you're going to rub this marinade in onto the meat side, not the skin side. Right, we're going to put that on a tray, and you leave this in the fridge. If you really want to leave it in there for a minimum of 4 hours, preferably overnight if you can be bothered. Once you've done that, you take it out. Hey! You put it in the oven, on a really hot oven for the first 30 minutes, 220 degrees. We do that because we want to blast some heat into it, we want to get that crackle set. We want that, we want to get that going on the outside first, and then we drop the heat down to 180 degrees. So it goes in here. So here's the one that is half cooked, and here's the one that is fully cooked. Right, you'll see that obviously it's dropped down, that little bit of moisture that's come out through there. This is looking beautiful underneath. Here's the rub that's gone into it. It's smelling divine. This dish really is bringing together a few influences. So we've got the congee, which is distinctly Chinese, and we're going to use it as well as the pork belly, but we're going to make a sauce which I like called sumiso, which is a sauce I learned how to make when I was in Japan. All right, this is just a little bit of sake going in here.
And then you can just roast it in the oven with it. That's just some mirin. Right, so the soy sake, just going to bring that up for, I'm just going to simmer that for a couple of minutes. And then what will go in there is our miso. Now we don't need as much as I've got here. What's happening? Right, and so once you've made this as a base, this miso base, or sumiso base, just keep it in a jar in the fridge. There's nothing in here to go off. It'll last forever. Right, sugar. Right, whisk that together. Right, once that cooks down, we're determined to use every pot in the place. This is what it kind of looks like. You know, this is, you know, you can just dip raw fish in this and raw vegetables. It's so tasty and so good. Right, in there a little bit of mustard powder as well. That's going to give us some heat. And just to cut the sweetness that we had in there, some rice wine vinegar. Okay, now this is, so what we're really going to be making here is a butter sauce. So this is a variation of a sauce we call beurre monté, which is a French base, or beurre blanc. Right, now one of the things that over the years a lot of people ask me, especially in terms of the, I think predominantly from the writing and the listening that I used to do, was all my recipes state the use of unsalted butter. And we probably got more letters to the editor about why I was always insisting on people use unsalted butter as opposed to salted butter. And the reason for that is like unsalted butter is what the Americans also refer to as sweet butter. And that's because with unsalted butter, I get to control the seasoning, right? Or you get to control the seasoning. Because obviously if you're using salted butter straight up, you're immediately adding salt into your dish and into the frying pan. Okay, once I've made the sauce, we're going to use these beautiful Tamatuku Bay oysters here, right? Now these are oysters from your neck of the woods, and if you're not in love with these already, you absolutely should be, and it probably will be after tonight. These are probably my favourite oyster in the country, and I mean, I always used to be a huge, and I'm an oyster fanatic, and I used to, you know, like devour bluff oysters like no tomorrow. Anyway, we're just going to finish off the congee. Now, this congee's just been quietly simmering down here. This is the one obviously that we prepared a little bit earlier. Mix that up. In there goes some chopped. That's the ginger, some finely chopped root ginger, some finely chopped garlic. And this is where this dish really starts to come alive, right? Is when we start to add all these flavourings. In there goes, and hopefully that's the fish sauce, it is. Just a little bit of soy, and stir that around. So beautifully simple, but so bloody tasty. Right, now once that comes up to the heat, we're going to whisk in the butter. 100 grams of butter. It's really hard to make this with less than 100 grams of butter. And unfortunately, it's not a sauce that keeps. So you kind of want to, you know, do it for 4 to 6 people rather than for 2. Leave that, taste that. Beautiful. Now at the restaurant we serve it in these. These are beautiful little dishes that we just get from like the Japanese store, you know, they're about $2 each or something like that. They're so cheap, they're fantastic. Into the congee, these oysters just loosen from the shell, like that. You see what I mean about how plump these oysters are? Look at that. You know, oh God. Right. Now, just putting those in that congee just long enough for the oysters sort of pucker up and tighten. Lovely. Okay. Now, also into here goes our pork. So after roasting the pork, take it from the oven and just put it in, you know, a nice sort of place for it to rest for 20 minutes to half an hour. Right, we're just going to drop 4 of those in there. Stir that through, right? You sort of see how they've just lightly tightened up here.
The hot pot of congee is a dish that's about textures as much as it is about flavours, and it's about, you know, it's got this fantastic mouthfeel. You've got this lovely soft porridge of rice with just these sort of little nubbly textures of grain still in there. You've got this lovely slow cooked roasted pork belly, which provides just a nice sort of slight chew but an interesting texture as well in terms of, you know, the little bit of pork fat that's in there. And then you've got the slipperiness of the oysters, which are just barely tightened in that stock from the congee. We cook them in there just so they sort of plump up a little bit, and that sort of firms up their texture as well. So there's really a lovely interplay of textures going on. As if that wasn't gilding the lily, in goes our sumiso sauce, and this just, I said, this is rich, beautiful, right? And all we need now on there to garnish that is just some spring onions, and that's just going to give us a lovely, fresh, crisp flavour into this, right? And what we'll do is we'll do just for theatrics, right? It's a deeply nourishing dish, and it's also quite an accomplished dish to do as well. You really feel like you've cooked. When you present it on the plate, you know you've been cooking. It's a great feeling.